Hi, I'm Sam Brotman. So I want to talk about the Employee Retention Tax Credit and qualifying for the Employee Retention Tax Credit based on supply chain disruption. In July of this year, the IRS released a Chief Counsel memorandum that clarified what the IRS's position is on supply chain. Qualification for the Employee Retention Tax Credit depends on four things. Number one, you have to demonstrate impact. Number two, you have to show that the impact to your business was more than nominal. Number three, you have to show the presence of a government order. And number four, you have to draw a link between the government order and the impact on the business. So with supply chain, what you're doing is you're taking that same analysis and you're performing it on the supplier and then carrying it down for the business. So you would look at how your supplier or suppliers were impacted by government orders, and as a result, what impact that had on your business. Now, the IRS's Chief Counsel memorandum is not anything that is binding. Chief Counsel memorandum represents the litigation position, or the position that the IRS would take if they were, let's say, called into tax court. The memorandum is very clear to focus and say that it only relates to supply chain and doesn't consider any other impacts to the business. Well, from a practical perspective, there are very few businesses that were only impacted during the pandemic by just supply chain issues. Supply chain is a part of the way that they were impacted, but it's not the totality. So what you can do is combine a supply chain argument with other impact to reach the more than nominal threshold. So focusing on California specifically for a minute, most things internationally either come through the Port of Los Angeles or they come through the Port of Long Beach. In early 2021, there were huge COVID outbreaks at both of those ports. And because of California labor restrictions and other California state government orders that impacted the ports, the supply chain was significantly disrupted. It wasn't just the pictures that we all saw in the news of container ships being left out to sea. It was the fact that once the containers were in the port, they couldn't get to the warehouse and logistics places that they needed to go. So that had very broad implications on the importation of goods into the United States. All you have to do is really dig a little bit deeper to show that the California orders impacted those specific ports, that the impact of those ports had an impact on the business's supplier, and therefore had a more than nominal impact on the business. So as you can see, supply chain arguments are still valid for the Employee Retention Tax Credits, but you have to go through the level of diligence that you would normally go through in the analysis to trace, do you have impact? Did it come from a government order? Was it more than nominal? And can you draw a link between the areas of the supply chain and your particular business?